In 1502, a man walked into a room to meet his most dangerous rival. Everyone around him expected violence. Instead, Cesare Borgia smiled, offered wine, praised the man's loyalty, and sent him away feeling safer than he'd felt in months. 3 weeks later, that man was dead, executed on Borgia's orders. And the person who documented exactly how this happened, who studied every gesture, every pause, every calculated word Borgia used to disarm a man who should have seen it coming, was a quiet Florentine diplomat named Niccolò Machiavelli. He wasn't in the room to fight, he was in the room to watch, and what he learned that day became the foundation of the most feared political philosophy in history. Here's the part that matters to you. The skill Machiavelli was studying wasn't manipulation. It was something more valuable and far more protective, the ability to read a human being accurately before they show you who they really are. Most people go their entire lives being blindsided by betrayal, manipulation, and disappointment, not because the signs weren't there, but because nobody ever taught them what to actually look for. By the end of this video, that changes. I'm going to give you the exact method, the same one used by history's sharpest political minds, to read anyone, a partner, a friend, a co-worker, a stranger across the table, within minutes of meeting them. And I promise you, the fifth signal I'm about to show you is the one that will replay in your head the next time you're sitting across from someone you're not sure you can trust. Let's get into it. Part 1. Why everyone is reading people wrong. Before I give you the method, I need to break something first, because if I don't, none of this will work for you. Almost everyone reads people by listening to what they say. That's the default. Someone tells you they're trustworthy, you file it as data. Someone tells you they care about you, you believe it. Someone apologizes, you take the apology at face value. Machiavelli's entire body of work is built on rejecting this default completely. He wrote bluntly that men are so simple and so governed by their immediate needs that a skilled deceiver will always find people willing to be deceived. Read that again. He's not saying people are stupid, he's saying people are listening to the wrong channel. Here's why this matters so much. Words are the cheapest thing a human being can produce. They cost nothing to plan. Anyone, even someone actively lying to you, can rehearse the perfect sentence, the perfect tone of sincerity, the perfect apology, especially if they've had even 30 seconds to prepare. Behavior is different. 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 Someone does in the exact moment. They believe no one is scoring them. This is the first mental shift you need to make today, and I want you to actually commit to it, not just nod along. Stop treating what someone says as your primary source of truth about them. Start treating it as the least reliable source you have. Words tell you what a person wants you to believe. Behavior tells you what's actually happening underneath. Machiavelli's own historical judgments were never built on what a prince promised. They were built on the pattern of what that prince actually did over months and years, because a single promise can be faked in a sentence, but a consistent pattern is almost impossible to fake for long. Part 2. The Contradiction Test. Let's get into your first practical tool. I call this the Contradiction Test, and once you start using it, you will not be able to stop noticing it in every relationship you have. Every person operates on 2 tracks at once. Track 1 is what they say about themselves, their claims, their self-description, the identity they present to you. Track 2 is what their actual behavior demonstrates over time. The problem is that almost nobody actively compares these 2 tracks. We absorb what someone says about themselves and just believe it, by default, unless something dramatic proves otherwise. Here's what I want you to do instead. Every time someone makes a self-descriptive claim, "I'm a loyal person, I always follow through on what I say, I really don't care what people think of me," don't file it as a fact. File it as a hypothesis, a claim waiting for evidence. Then, over the following days and weeks, quietly track whether their behavior confirms it or contradicts it. Here's a real pattern to watch for. Someone who insists loudly and often that they don't care what people think, but visibly, subtly changes their posture, their word choice, their entire demeanor the moment they know they're being watched or judged. That contradiction is worth more than anything they said, because it shows you the gap between the identity they want you to believe and the identity that's actually operating underneath. Or this one, someone who claims total loyalty to you, but speaks critically, even just slightly, about absent friends when those friends aren't in the room. That's not gossip, that's a preview. That's exactly how they will talk about you the next time you're the one who isn't in the room. Machiavelli called this the gap between how men appear and how men actually are. And he considered that gap not any single lie, not any single betrayal, the single most important piece of information you can gather about anyone who has influence over your life. The wider that gap, the more caution the relationship requires. Not hostility, not paranoia. Just caution, calibrated to the size of the gap. Part 3. Reading pressure, not comfort. Here's a principle that almost nobody applies correctly, and once you understand it, you'll realize why so many people get fooled by others for years before seeing the truth. You cannot accurately read someone's character while they are comfortable. Comfort allows performance. Comfort is cheap. Pressure is where the mask slips. Think about it logically. Anyone can be generous when generosity costs them nothing. Anyone can stay calm when nothing is actually threatening them. Anyone can be kind when kindness happens to be convenient in that exact moment. None of these tell you who someone really is. They only tell you what someone is capable of performing under ideal conditions. The real information, the stuff that actually predicts how someone will treat you 5 years into a relationship, shows up under 3 very specific pressure conditions. Pressure condition 1, how someone treats people who can't benefit them. Watch how someone behaves toward a waiter, a cashier, an assistant, someone with zero social leverage over their life. This is one of the purest tests that exists, because there is no strategic reason to perform kindness here, no audience that matters, no benefit to gain. The way someone treats a person who cannot help or hurt their reputation is often the truest version of who they are. Pressure condition 2, how someone responds to being told no. A denied request, even a small one, is a genuine pressure test. Watch closely. Do they accept it and move on? Or do they escalate, guilt trip, go cold, sulk, or quietly punish you for it later in some indirect way? This single reaction is one of the most reliable predictors of how that person will behave the very first time you set a real boundary with them, a boundary that actually matters. Pressure condition 3, how someone reacts to a minor inconvenience that isn't anyone's fault. Traffic, a delay, a small mistake that wasn't personal or intentional. This is one of the purest windows into someone's baseline emotional regulation because there's no one to perform for in that moment and nothing strategic to be gained from the reaction. How someone handles friction when it doesn't matter tells you exactly how they'll handle friction when it does. Machiavelli's own observation on this was blunt, almost cold. Fortune reveals character faster than any conversation ever could, because fortune doesn't wait politely for someone to prepare their mask first. This is why the people who get hurt the worst in relationships are so often the ones who only ever saw the other person in comfortable conditions. The mask never had a reason to slip until real life applied pressure it couldn't handle. Part 4. The micro-signals most people miss. Now let's go smaller and faster, signals that happen in seconds, not weeks, but that trained observers catch instantly. The pause before the answer. A truthful response to a simple, low-stakes question is usually immediate. It's a retrieval, not a construction. A slight, almost imperceptible delay on a question that should have an easy, automatic answer is often a sign that the person is building a response in real time rather than recalling one. On its own, this proves nothing, but watch for it repeating on similar types of questions, and the pattern becomes meaningful. Over-specific denial. This one is fascinating once you start noticing it. When someone denies something they were never even accused of, offering unprompted, excessive, detailed defense of a point nobody raised, it's frequently a sign that the topic is far more relevant to them than they're letting on. Genuinely uninvolved people rarely feel the internal need to over-explain their innocence about something nobody questioned. Mismatched enthusiasm. Watch for the moment when someone's words and their tone disagree with each other. "That's amazing news for you," said in a flat, low-energy voice. The words are carrying warmth, the tone isn't backing up. When these two channels, verbal and non-verbal, contradict each other, believe the non-verbal one. Tone, posture, and micro-expression are dramatically harder to consciously control than word choice. Selective memory that always favors them. Pay close attention to whose version of a shared past conflict consistently paints them as the reasonable one, the wronged one, the innocent one. Everyone has some self-serving bias in memory. That's human. But a pattern where someone is never, even slightly, at fault in their own retelling of every conflict they've ever had is itself an important signal, because reality doesn't actually work that way for anyone. None of these 4 signals are proof in isolation. I want to be really clear about that, because this isn't about catching one gotcha moment and building a case in your head. Machiavelli's actual method was never about a single dramatic reveal. It was about patiently accumulating small, consistent signals over real time until an undeniable pattern emerged on its own. Part 5. The silent signal. What someone does with power. Here's a signal that almost never gets talked about, and it might be the most revealing one of all. Machiavelli spent his career studying rulers specifically because he understood something crucial. Character isn't tested by ordinary circumstances, it's tested by power, by the moments when someone can get away with something and knows it. You don't need someone to have political power for this to apply. You just need a moment where they have leverage over someone else, a manager over an employee, an older sibling over a younger one, a popular friend over someone eager to be included, a partner who knows the other person is emotionally invested and won't leave easily. Watch what someone does the moment they realize they have leverage. Do they use it gently, or do they start testing how much they can get away with? Do they become more considerate because they know they could hurt someone, or do they start treating that person's investment as something to exploit rather than protect? This is one of the fastest ways to see someone's real character, because most people are perfectly pleasant when they have no power over you. The real test is what changes the moment that balance shifts. Part 6. Putting the method together. Let's bring this into one usable framework, because information without application is just trivia. Step 1. Downgrade the weight you give to what people say about themselves. Treat self-description as a hypothesis, not a fact. Step 2. Run the contradiction test. Watch whether behavior confirms or contradicts the claim over time, not in one interaction. Step 3. Observe someone specifically under the 3 pressure conditions: how they treat people who can't benefit them, how they respond to being told no, and how they react to small, impersonal inconveniences. Step 4. Watch for the 4 micro-signals in real time: the pause before the answer, over-specific denial, mismatched enthusiasm, and one-sided memory of conflict. Step 5. Notice what someone does the moment they gain leverage over you or someone else. None of these signals alone are a verdict, but when 3 or 4 of them start pointing in the same direction, that's not a coincidence anymore. That's a pattern, and patterns are the closest thing to truth that human behavior ever gives you. Part 7. Why this matters more than people realize. Here's the deeper reason this skill matters, and it's not what most people assume. Most people don't get hurt in relationships, friendships, or business deals because they were outsmarted by a criminal mastermind. They get hurt because they ignored small, early, completely visible signals, because they were focused on the words being said instead of the behavior being shown. The contradiction was visible in month 1. The reaction to being told no was visible in week 2. The way someone treated a waiter was visible on the very first date. Nobody was hiding it particularly well. The information was available the entire time. It just wasn't being read. I want to be careful here, because this isn't about becoming suspicious of everyone you meet, or assuming the worst about people's intentions before they've done anything to earn that suspicion. Machiavelli himself operated among genuine allies as much as enemies, and his method worked precisely because it was neutral, designed to see clearly, not to assume the worst in advance. The goal here isn't paranoia, the goal is accuracy. The ability to see someone's actual pattern early enough that you get to make an informed decision about how much trust, access, and vulnerability you extend to them, instead of finding out the truth only after it's already cost you something you can't easily get back. Machiavelli didn't study human behavior because he hated people. He studied it because he understood something most of us only learn the hard way. Trust given blindly isn't kindness. It's just a gamble with someone else's information advantage, and you're the one paying if it goes wrong. Here's your one task this week. Pick one person in your life. Doesn't have to be someone you suspect, just someone you want to understand more clearly. And for 7 days, stop listening to what they say about themselves. Just watch what they do, especially under small pressure, especially in the moments they don't think anyone's measuring them. You will be shocked at how much you already knew the moment you finally started paying attention to the right channel. If this changed how you're going to look at someone in your life this week, tell me in the comments who came to mind while you were watching. I read every single one. And if you want the exact opposite skill, how to make yourself unreadable, the way Machiavelli taught rulers to protect themselves from exactly this kind of analysis, subscribe, because that video is coming next, and it completes everything you just learned today. I'll see you in the next one.